before us today, we have the case before us today is a review application in respect of the Maharaja Food and Wine on 30 Golborne Road. I can declare that I have no declaration of interest in this, and we are joined today on the committee by Councillor Williams and Councillor Blakeman. Could you please introduce yourself and also let me know about any declarations of interest? Thank you.
Yes, I'm Councillor Charles Williams, member of the Licensing Committee, and Councillor for Redcliffe Ward. I have no interest to declare in respect to this case.
Thank you.
Hello, Judith Blakeman, Councillor for Nottingdale Ward. I have no interest in this case, personal interest.
Thank you. And whilst, councillors, we have you, also, just in case I do lose connection, I'd like to nominate a substitute chair in case my connection drops out. Judith, I'm going to nominate Councillor Williams, if that's all right, if you could possibly second that.
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much. So just to confirm that if I do lose connection, then Councillor Charles Williams will continue in his role as Vice Chair of the committee. And everyone should have had all the papers with them already. They've all been circulated. And we have with us today, if you could just please introduce yourselves. We have Paul Phelan and Fiona Johnson from the Council's licensing team.
Good morning, Chair. Paul Phelan from the licensing team.
Good morning, Chair. Fiona Johnson from the licensing team.
Thank you very much. And we have our legal advisor, Heidi Titcombe.
Good morning, Chair. I'm participating in this hearing.
Thank you very much. And then our committee officers, we have Leonie Hill, Yasmin Jama and Esme Shari, and also Anne Wright. Would you all like to confirm you're here? Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. I'm present.
Hello, morning, Chairman. It's Anne Wright. I'm present. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. And now to the applicant for the review, Mr. Douglas Dixon. Can you please confirm you are here?
I am here, Chair.
Thank you very much. And then for the premises license holder, it's Mr. Parmjit Chopra, and he is attending with his spokesperson, Mr. Surender Panchal. Is that correct? And can you please introduce yourselves? Mr. Chopra, are you there? Perhaps you're on mute.
Okay,
sorry, yes, good morning, Chair. I am here.
Fantastic. And you're both together, yes? So you're both on the
same computer, Chairman. I'm Mr. Surendra Panchal. I'll be speaking on behalf of Mr. Paramjit Chopra.
Mm-hmm. And is that Mr. Chopra we see in the background there?
Yes, he is. Yes, we got it. This is a training room, so we are self-distancing from ourselves. But if there is anything that you want to ask him, I will move out and he will sit in my chair while we're doing up and down.
Okay, yes, because we would want to ask him directly some questions. So that's good to know. Thank you very much. And I've already mentioned the ground rules. And again, if you lose connection, you know how to get back in as well, and we can have a short break. Firstly, just to outline the procedure, Mr. Phelan will give a brief outline of it, and then Mr. Dixon will explain why the review has been requested. And at this point, the committee will ask him questions as well, and he'll have up to 10 minutes. And then we will ask the license holder again to have his time. So, and we'll finally turn to the legal team and the officers as well. So, Mr. Phelan, shall we get going, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. This application for the review of a premises licence has been submitted by Mr. Dixon, Senior Trade and Standard Officer for the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, in respect of 30 Golborne Road, London, W10 5PF. The premises currently benefits from a premises licence which permits the sale by retail of alcohol off the premises Monday to Saturday, 8 AM until 11 PM, and Sunday, 10 AM until 10:30 PM, with recorded music indoors for unrestricted hours. Mr. Dixon confirms the grounds for review as a protection of children from harm and the prevention of crime and disorder due to a failed underage sales test purchase of alcohol at the premises on the 25th of February 2020. A full summary of Mr. Dixon's grounds for review can be found on pages 12 to 13 of today's papers. This review has not attracted any representations from a responsible authority, nor has it attracted any representation in support of the application or the premises. Council records indicate that no noise complaints or underage sales complaints have been received in the preceding 24 months. Council records also indicate that the premises have submitted 2 temporary event notices in the preceding 24-month period. I can confirm that the licensee, Mr. Chopra, has not responded to this application for a review of a premises licence. For the avoidance of doubt, I can also confirm that a copy of the review application was delivered by hand to Mr. Chopra at the premises on the 17th of September 2020. Site notices were also displayed at the premises with additional copies going on display at the Town Hall Library for the required 28-day consultation period. In addition to these steps, the application was also made available on the licensing registers for the Royal Borough. That concludes the summary of this application. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
That was very helpful. Thank you, Mr. Phelan. Mr. Dixon, can you please make your submission for this review? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. This review has been brought because this was the sale that took place on the 25th of February was the 3rd test purchase that we have carried out from Maharaja Food and Wine, and on the 3rd occasion that they have sold. So essentially they have not ever passed an underage sales test purchase. In view of that, I felt some action was necessary, and after much deliberation, I have asked for the conditions that I have requested in asking for Mr. Chopra to pass additional training, and for all the members of staff who work for him to become personal license holders. I thought that these conditions would enhance the levels of protection offered, and that it might address the issue of underage sales from the premises. It's a very difficult issue. On this occasion, on the 25th of February, the seller was Mr. Chopra, and the cadets were able to purchase alcohol without any challenge being made to them at all. I don't believe that any reasonable person would have described the cadets as being over 25, and therefore I have serious concerns that Challenge 25 is not being operated in the correct manner. And that's why I've asked for the conditions that I have. I did consider asking for revocation, and obviously it is something that is open to you as members of the committee, if that is your decision. We have revoked licenses in the past, and it's not something I'm comfortable with, because you never know who is going to replace the existing license holder, and it is better to work with existing license holders whilst you can. And I do not believe we've got to the point where revocation is the only solution, which is why I'm asking for these conditions. It's a very difficult situation, but I'm asking for things that I hope will improve the situation at the premises so that they finally refuse to our test purchasers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Dixon. Now the committee are going to ask you some questions, if that's all right. And also at this point, also committee, if you wanted to ask Mr. Phelan any questions, this would be the time to as well. So I'm going to turn to Councillor Williams, if you'd like to kick off with any questions. Thank you.
sorry to comment on you. Mr. Dixon, condition 8 to the present licence requires challenge 25 and the prominent display of posters. What posters did you see on the occasion of your visit?
I believe there were challenge 25 posters up, but if I'm honest, Councillor, it's a long time ago and it was late at night, so I couldn't say, but I believe they were on display.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Blakeman?
Yes, my question is that normally we ask for review after 2 failures, and this is a request for review after 3 failures. Why was it delayed?
I have no idea, Councillor. I was not involved in the decision making around the second test purchase, and it was made whilst we were a by-borough service, and both of the officers who were involved no longer work for us. So, and the records, such as they are, don't indicate why a decision to take no further action was made. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman. Just a little bit of clarification on that, Mr. Dixon. So you have only been involved recently with this premises, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, and as you say, three attempted test purchases, and all were provided with alcohol. So it's the 3rd offence and the 3rd visit. So thank you for clarifying that. And just again to clarify your recommending on page 12 of the pack.
Yes.
You would like the licensing committee to consider suspending the premises license for a significant period, possibly 3 months. And if you could possibly just explain what you mean about, because you don't necessarily want it to be revoked, because you find that people just they're just flipping the license into another holder's name. Okay.
Yes, and you can, when you have a new license holder, you can't necessarily insist on strict conditions because they are a new operator and have to be given the benefit of the doubt. But it's their relationship, the possibility of proxy licensees operating on behalf of the original owner. So it's a situation we've had in the past, and it's particularly difficult. So I feel it's better to try and work with Mr. Chopra until such time as he proves that we can't work with him.
Okay, understood. Thank you for that. And again, just to clarify, so you're requesting suspension in that paragraph on page 12, and then on page 13 in your final paragraph, you talk about a long closure of 3 months, but that doesn't mean a closure of the whole shop. That means a suspension.
Yes.
To
suspension of the license.
Understood. Fantastic. Thank you for clarifying that. Those are my questions. Now I see we obviously will now turn to
Chair. Could I just it's Heidi here, the legal advisor. Could I just ask one question for clarification?
Yes, of course. I was just going to turn to you after Mr. Panchal because he's got his hand up, but please carry on now, Ms. Titcombe.
Yes, I just wanted to ask Mr. Dixon, what's the purpose of the suspension, and could he explain what he wants to happen during that period, and whether the 3-month period is the appropriate period? Thank you.
I would regard the suspension of the license as a period within which Mr. Chopra and his staff could be properly trained, so that when they reopen, all the staff have obtained personal licenses, and Mr. Chopra has had a chance to attend and pass a designated premises supervisor's course. I've no idea how long that will take, but I would have suggested that if they are serious about passing those courses, then it could be done possibly within a shorter period. But I would have thought 3 months would be more than adequate.
Thank you, Heidi. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. It does. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Again, just going back to the training, actually, because Mr. Titcombe raised a very important point there. So when the first offence happened, it says in the report on page 13 that training was undertaken, but that seems to be specific to underage sales training.
Yes.
And this is a specific DPS training you would recommend.
Yes, the training that one of my ex-colleagues who works for Hammersmith ran a training course for on underage sales, which was basically aimed at trying to ensure that licensees and their staff understood their responsibilities, and that is the course that Mr. Chopra and one of his staff attended. But it is not a formal training course in the sense that there is no exam, there is no certificate, and it was done several years ago. So I'm recommending that in this time the training that is undertaken is formal, a formal training course with some form of certification at the end of it.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much. Mr. Panchal, do you have any questions, please, from Mr. Dixon? We will come to you in a moment for your submission, but this is specific questions to Mr. Dixon, please, on what you have heard.
Yes, Chairman, I do have a few questions to Mr. Douglas. I understand that in your presentation that you asked for conditions which I've got a list sent to me. Would a training of the staff be with the personal license, or a training with BII level 1 be sufficient enough at this instance?
Personal license.
So you would prefer a personal license holder to be present at the premises every time a licensable activity takes place?
I would like every single member of staff who serves in that shop to have a personal license. Not just a personal license holder on the premises, but every single member, every single person who sells alcohol should have a personal license.
And Mr. Chopra already holds a personal license, so do
Yes.
you want him to get retrained, or do you want him?
No, I would like Mr. Chopra to attend a designated premises supervisor's course so that he is aware fully of his responsibilities as a designated premises supervisor. Those are not necessarily things that are covered by a personal license holder course. So they relate far more to the management of the premises, and that's something that I think he would benefit from and the premises would benefit from.
Brilliant. The suspension period that you asked for, would it not be sufficient enough? Because we're a training company, ma'am. So the question I'm asking about the training period is, a normal personal license is available within 3 weeks. Would it be sufficient enough for you if the suspension period was reduced to 1 month?
If all of the staff and Mr. Chopra can pass the relevant training courses within that period, then that would be fine. But obviously there has to be some give and take on any negotiation around these sorts of things, and I'm happy for it to be a shorter period if the training can be completed within that time period. But obviously if it doesn't, then we'd be back here with another review.
Thank you very much, Chair. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. That clarified some issues. And Ms. Titcombe, just turning to you again, did you have anything else you wanted to question at this stage, or come back in later?
Yes, I'll come back in later. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So now, Mr. Panchal, returning to you for your submission. You have up to 10 minutes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Chairman, I won't take too long because I've questioned the Mr. Douglas and I've found. Chairman, I'm just coming back to that Mr. Chopra's personal license was obtained in the year 2015. I'd like to draw to your attention that the underage sales, which we are talking about, 3 underage sales, they weren't occurring, just to make sure that they weren't occurring regularly. If there was a premises which had a regular occurrence of underage sales, then we would be thinking of, yeah, that's not very good. It happened once in 2017 when Mr. Chopra went on a training with Mr. Doug Love. I gather, just to make it very clear, Doug Love is the one who holds the license trainings at Hammersmith, which I've just heard from Mr. Douglas. He did attend that, and then in 2018 another underage happened, which was by the staff and not Mr. Chopra. In 2017 was again by a staff, not by Mr. Chopra. Mr. Chopra's underage sales happened on 2020. That's the first underage sales that occurred by Mr. Chopra. There is no reason for that to happen. We agree with that. Mr. Chopra agrees with that. He does apologize for what has happened. He is happy to undergo all the trainings. He's happy to amend the conditions that I've received in the circulation from Mr. Douglas. So we are happy for that conditions to be attached to the license, in saying that there will be a personal license holder or all the staff to be trained. The staffs, we're a training company. We train people from APLH level 2. We do under the BII, and from our point of view, the staff have already been booked with us. Mr. Chopra has also booked. We have booked Mr. Chopra for designated premises supervisors award level 2 under the BII, and all this will take place within 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks' time, we will have obtained the personal licenses of the staff. Mr. Chopra's designated premises supervisor course, which is ongoing at the moment. Designated premises supervisor's course is an ongoing process. It's not an APLH level 2, which will end by end of next week. After which Mr. Chopra will be qualified under designated premises supervisors level 3. So, ma'am, we are happy to undergo, and we feel, as I have just questioned Mr. Douglas, that a suspension period of 1 month would be sufficient enough to bring everything in line. And we will make sure, if there is another underage sales happen, then we will raise our hands and feel that the license will have more trouble and will be revoked. I understand Mr. Douglas saying that it is advisable to work with the same license holders at all times. And I understand his reasons, because people tend to apply for new licenses under people's names, and then we get the same person applying and getting the premises working through. And I understand and I appreciate what Mr. Douglas is trying to achieve here. And I think that's the way forward at the moment. So, Chairman, I feel that the suspension of a month, which you just heard, I question Mr. Douglas, that he's happy if the licenses are approved within the 1 month period. And we'll make sure that happens. And we'll make sure that that another underage sales will not happen in the shop. Mr. Chopra is concerned, and Mr. Chopra does understand that how important it is that such things are not breached in future. So, Chairman, that's our view at the moment. Mr. Chopra is here, and if there is any questions you want to ask Mr. Chopra, I can happily move and Mr. Chopra can move in.
Thank you for that. As you're probably sitting there, it might be easier if we ask you questions first as a committee and then turn to Mr. Chopra. My first question is about the seriousness of this review. Selling alcohol to children is a serious offence, and obviously, as you know, is against the licensing objectives, protecting children from harm. And it's the third offence. So my question to you is, and maybe this has to be to Mr. Chopra as well, when he's in front of us on the screen, is does he understand the seriousness of this, is my first question. And the second question is, why was there no response to Mr. Phelan and the licensing authority and Mr. Dixon when he received this? I mean, it sounds as if maybe there has been some work going on behind the scenes and he's booked in this training, which is commendable. But just my two questions is, does he understand the seriousness of this? And the second question is, why was there no response? Thank you.
I didn't know why Mr. Chopra could answer why the response wasn't there, but I can answer another thing, that he has made it. He understands it's a very serious matter, and that's why hence he immediately came to us and started booking and making sure things are in place in the shop. There was a visit made by the licensing officer about 3 weeks ago at the premises, and I don't know whether but during that visit, everything was in place, the refusal book, the Challenge 25 posters. I've been told by Mr. Chopra that the licensing officer felt that everything was in place, and Mr. Chopra was in full promotion of the 4 licensing objectives. So he is moving forward. He understands the seriousness of it, and he's very concerned about it, about that matter. But
okay, maybe we'll bring in the licensing officer in a moment about that. But while we still have you on the screen, then I'm just going to turn to my fellow committee members, Councillor Williams and then Councillor Blakeman, to ask you any questions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pancho. As I understand it, you said that the Mr. Chopra is doing a PLH course. And no doubt Mr. Dixon will indicate in a moment whether he's satisfied with what is being undertaken. What I wanted to know is how many other members of staff are receiving a personal license training and or will when the process is finished be accredited to sell alcohol in these premises.
We've got a booking for 2 personal license holders who are working at the premises, so we already have a booking for 2 of them. Due to coronavirus, I can just quickly, we have a lockdown system now from today, and although we come under the university's training system, so we are open for training, but we cannot take more than 6 people according to our training room. So they are scheduled to be in next week's both the persons.
Right, so it's Mr. Chopra's plus 2 others. Or
2 others, yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Blakeman?
Yes, would you be confirming that the training has taken place and that everyone has passed the necessary training before the licence comes back into effect?
Yes, ma'am, you will get the certificates and you will have the personal licenses. At the moment, we've been in this trade for the last 20 years. At the moment, ma'am, personal licenses, the cards are not issued by many boroughs. We only get the numbers of the personal license, but we will provide the numbers within 3 weeks period.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Blakeman. I just want at this point just to bring in, if maybe Ms. Johnson or Mr. Phelan knows who the licensing officer was that actually has recently visited the premises.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, effectively, so on the 8th of the 10th at midday, there was a visit by one of our enforcement officers, Mr. Williams, to the premises. He's noted that the premises was well run. except that there was no license summary on display. That was, however, remedied immediately. So, yeah, I mean, it was a sort of standard visit where no issues were identified other than the lack of a premises license on display that was remedied with immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan. This is something you do when a premises is coming up to review, is under review.
Yes, that's my understanding. We would visit a premises. No, sorry, forgive me, apologies. We wouldn't visit a premises that was under review.
So it was a regular trip. It was just a regular visit.
Sorry,
maybe I can clarify that, Chairman. So basically we try, but with 1,200 premises, it's quite hard to actually visit every single premises every year. So we've actually got them on a rota system. So it so happens that this premises was due a visit. So it wasn't really done because a review was put in. It was done because it was due a visit. But we do try and visit those premises where a review has come in just to make sure they are operating, but it's not all the time.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's very helpful. Thank you. And also, I feel at this point I'd really like to bring in Ms. Titcombe here about. There's a lot of discussion about timeframes and training, and obviously I'm going to go back to Mr. Dixon as well about this. But Ms. Titcombe, I wonder if you could just shed a bit of light about the time frame if the committee were minded to suspend the licence.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Well, that was one question I was going to raise with Mr. Panchal, because I'm not quite clear what the process is for the DPS course. I understand that 2 members of staff are booked. How many members of staff are there at the premises in total? Would be one question. And 2, I'd like to know how long the DPS course takes and at what stage of that process Mr. Chopra is.
Right. Chairman, I can put light on that. The APLH course for the personal license is a day's course. So it just works on a day's course, but the process of getting the CRB, which is a criminal record bureau, and the process that the council takes to issue the personal license, all in all, it works out to roughly about 3 weeks. Both the staff, there are 2 staff plus Mr. Chopra. All in all, they have 3 staff working at the premises, and both the staffs have been booked in for next week's course. So within 3 weeks period of time, both the staffs will have their personal licenses or personal license numbers. I repeat again, numbers issued by the council, which we will have an email from the council to say they have been granted a personal license. Whilst Mr. Chopra is undergoing a designated premises supervisor's course, which is a 2-day course. The designated premises supervisor's course is level 3 course, while the APLH is level 2 course to obtain the personal license. Mr. Chopra has already obtained his personal license when he has attended his APLH level 2 course. He's now doing what Mr. Dixon is asking him to do, which is a designated premises supervisor's course, which we normally run on 2 portions. The reason we run on 2 portions because it is quite a lengthy course and it has a lot of things in it. The trading rules, the food and hygiene, and everything is combined in this course. So by next week, Friday, he should be able to finish his course and be granted with a certificate for the designated premises supervisors. So all in all, Chairman, what we are asking for when we put a submission in is a month suspension would suffice to have all this in place.
Thank you. That is helpful. And I just wonder if Mr. Chopra wanted to, because I noticed the members did ask a question as to why there was no response, and Mr. Chopra was going to comment on that.
Yes, I can ask Mr. Chopra. I'm going to wake up and Mr. Chopra is going to sit here.
Okay.
And when you finish, I'll come back. Sorry, Chairman, I'll move out.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Chopra. So my first question was, why did you not respond to this review? initially?
Sorry, I think I misunderstand. I thought that this is the way to go forward, do the test and do the background job first. And I was just going through, and I thought in review I'll be putting myself on. So that's why I didn't reply at that time.
Okay, understood. And Mr. Panchal has said you understand the seriousness of it.
I do understand the seriousness of the crime, yes, and I'm really sorry about it. It was not deliberately that we do. So, I mean, we have got the refusal books, and we do follow the Challenge 25. I don't know what happened at that time. I'm sorry about that, and I have taken it serious, very serious.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to bring in fellow committee members, if you have anything specific to ask Mr. Chopra while he's now actually on the screen.
Yes, I mean, Mr. Chopra, I mean, I've sat on other cases like this before, and I mean, it seems it's quite serious, very serious, when we have had no fewer than 3 tests, 3 different occasions where over several years where the test purchases have failed like this. I mean, we must infer from this that similar that on other occasions that alcohol has been sold to minors. I mean, this because the procedures were not being followed. I mean, I understand there's a refusals book. How many entries are there in the refusals book?
There are quite a lot of entries since 2017. We do keep up records. And the other 2 occasions, it was 2 different staffs. So basically, it has 3 different people involved in 3 times. So might be the case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Blakeman.
Yeah, no, my question's been asked. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. I'd like now to ask Mr. Dixon if you have any questions, please, for either Mr. Chopra or Mr. Panchal.
No, Chair. I think you've covered all the issues that I wanted to raise with either Mr. Panchal or Mr. Chopra.
Thank you. Ms. Titcombe, coming back to you again.
I just have one question, thank you, Chair, of Mr. Panchal, as to whether there is a, on the tills, do they have a prompt to ask age? Often tills do have that sort of facility.
Chairman, I've just seen Mr. Chopra nodding his head to say that they don't have a prompt system on the till. Prompt systems are quite expensive, so when there are bigger premises with greater sales income, they can afford to have such tills. But at the moment, they do not have that kind of prompt system on the tills.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much. And you've confirmed that you're happy with the amendments to the licence that was circulated the other day to just tidy up conditions 8 and 11, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've seen that and I've discussed with Mr. Chopra, and we are happy to have those amended. We are happy to get that. I'll reply to your question, but I'd speak to the chairman. Do we have a submission later on, or would that be our final?
There is no summing up, but if you wanted to say something, you could do it now.
Yeah, I'd do it now. I've been sorry, Chairman. I've been in.
Mr. Panchal, before we come back to that, because we don't allow summing ups normally. So you obviously we want to get as much information as possible now. So obviously we will. But before we get to that, I just want to actually bring Mr. Dixon in here again, because you've talked a lot in your submission about these different courses, and I just want to get it absolutely clear from Mr. Dixon that Mr. Dixon, you're satisfied with these courses you have heard about, these one-day PL courses and this 2-day DPS course.
They are the standard length of time for those kinds of courses, Madam Chairman. So yes, they are what I would be looking for. It's the content about for personal license holders about their responsibilities, and for DPS about the responsibilities as the person responsible for the premises, which is again, it's that different level of training for a different level of responsibility.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Sorry, did you want to add anything else? Sorry, Mr. Dixon.
No, that's fine.
Okay, and I just do need to just clarify while we're all here in this committee, if the committee was considering suspending the license as per your recommendation, I understand legally though, Ms. Titcombe, maybe you could come in here again. The suspension doesn't actually happen until 21 days after the full decision has been made. But if Mr. Chopra and Mr. Panchal are undertaking their training next week, what's the legal framework then for this?
Well, at the moment, you see, even if you made a decision today, the premises could still serve alcohol. So they would be allowed to sell alcohol, even though they hadn't undertaken the course. So the decision does not take effect until 21 days after the date for appealing. So it depends how long the full decision takes to get out. And then it takes effect for 1 month. The other point I would say is that I just wanted to clarify with Mr. Dixon, because he's actually asking for all staff to actually attend a personal license holder course. So if that was the case, then we'd need to add a further condition to state that.
Yes, that would be true.
Okay.
Okay, understood. So then going back to the timing issue, if the committee were minded to suspend it, we would have to be clear about the wording of it up until the training has been completed, or words to those effects. Would that be something
I think
in this
they're
forum?
matters that we should discuss in when you retire, because any suspension has to be clear. Mm-hmm. And we have to know when it starts and when it stops to be of legal effect.
Mm-hmm. Understood. And I think, Councillor Blakeman, have you got your hand up? Is that a question you'd like to ask?
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Dixon that if we were so minded to not to suspend for the full 3 months, would he be content if we suspended for a shorter period, so long as all the training was carried out?
Absolutely. I would.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that, Councillor Blakeman. So, Mr. Panchal, I believe you wanted to add something further.
Yes, Chairman. Just to let you know that I have been dealing with this kind of cases for the last 15, 20 years in hearing and that. And what Mr. Douglas has written in his report in page 12, saying that the license be rather than revoked, be suspended, which I agree with him what he's saying. I'm quite happy to hear this from a very sensible person like Mr. Dixon, to say suspension is more vital than working with the same person and carrying on. So, Chairman, my general view on this kind of premises is, it's very easy for license holders when you make a decision and say, right, it's suspended for 3 months. When we suspend a license for 3 months, is as good as saying we've nearly revoked the license, because they would tend to lose all their customers and go somewhere else. And to get those customers back is very difficult. And what happens is, in this case, people would immediately go and appeal for this, which your legal department will tell you. And the appeal at the moment with the COVID-19 going on, it is not going to take place for a year, and then the license would be able to trade for a year without taking any notice of what Mr. Dixon has brought in. So in my view, a suspension, the reason I'm asking for a suspension of 1 month plus, I'm asking for, if your committee decides to suspend for 1 month would make much more sense. They would be hit financially, no doubt about that. They would undergo all the trainings and that, and within a month's time period, the training will finish, because from my point of view, the training will finish, and they would trade on. Would give them enough sufficient financial loss as well as to be back on their feet if they were to carry on, and Mr. Dixon would work with the same client. That's my view when you're making your decision, to understand that. Because very immediately people, when they see 3-month suspensions, they immediately tend to go and appeal for it, and the appeal takes longer, and then they suddenly decide to negotiate with the councils. So it's just my view on when you're making your decision.
No, understood. Thank you. That could have been part of your submission. So yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And now I just want to turn to our legal team for any final questions to any party. Ms. Titcombe.
No questions from me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I'd like to turn to our committee officers. Ms. Hill, any questions that has been raised or anything during the hearing?
Nothing from me, Chair.
And finally, to our licensing officers, Mr. Phelan and Ms. Johnson.
Nothing further from me, Chair.
Okay.
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're now about to reach the end of this meeting. The committee now has all the information needed, and we will retire to make our decision in private session. And a summary decision will be sent to the parties within 5 working days of today's hearing, and a full decision will follow as soon as possible thereafter. Thank you all for attending. This hearing is now closed. Thank you.
Sorry, Chairman, before you go, yes. So would the decision be sent to us within 5 days, or do we come back again to this hearing, or we just wait?
No, it will be sent to you within 5 working days by email, so there's no need to attend again. And we'll try to do it before 5 working days. But that's the summary decision.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you.
And then the full decision is the one where the time frame is quite crucial.
Thank you so much, Chairman.
Thank you very much for attending. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
The meeting's now closed. Thank you.